Originally released in June 2022 at the Toronto International Film Festival, The Blackening was a fresh new take on the horror comedy genre. Though it may be compared to the Scary Movie franchise, which parodies classic horror in general, The Blackening is a new take on how we are represented in the horror genre. Known for his previous work, Barbershop, the Ride-Along series, the Think Like a Man franchise, and the 2019 Shaft revamp, and directing music videos for artists such as India.Arie and Jagged Edge, Tim Story has shown his love for creating projects with black leads. He has been nominated for 2 NAACP Image Awards for some of his work. With a production budget of $5 million, Story was able to create a feature-length version of the 2018 short film by the same name, featuring Dwayne Perkins and his comedy troupe Threepeat, writer and star of the 2022 film. With the combined efforts of Story, Perkins, writer Tracy Oliver, known for Girls Trip, and a star-studded cast, The Blackening grossed an impressive $18 million in the box office during its wide release in June 2023.
The best word I could use to describe this movie is black. I saw it with my sister on my birthday, and the seats were overflowing with melanin, and the silence was filled with, "I know that's right." We're finishing a common saying ingrained in us, representative of our experiences or someone close to us. During every frame, I was either rocking back and forth and hitting my sister in the arm, or leaning forward in my seat trying to get as close to the screen as possible. The movie was filled with subtle, outright references to commonly used gestures, behaviors, facial expressions, and generally being on the same mental level. It's definitely in my top 5 movies of all time, and I'll probably watch it again this weekend. In terms of tropes, the movie played into tropes, but not in an offensive way. It was another by us for us situation. We recognized that each character kind of represented their own archetype within blackness, and we really wanted to give space to each of their journeys, Perkins said. Though audience members will quickly think they have each character pegged, Perkins said it was our job to continuously subvert the expectation so that we can then force the audience to expand the way that they think about these particular people. Antoinette Robertson, another one of the leads, said, "It was just nice that we can show the many facets of blackness without it having to be stereotypical, even though there are certain instances where we lean into stereotypes." If I had to assign each character to a trope discussed in class or present in popular media today, I'd assign Clifton, played by Jermaine Fowler, to an Uncle Tom sort of character. Dwayne was more of the comic relief / gay best friend. Tamika, played by X-Mile, began to resemble Sapphire. King, played by Melvin Gray, was constantly criticized for being with a white woman, but he used to be a thug / gang member. Allison, played by Grace Byers, is light-skinned, but she doesn't represent a Jezebel. She's constantly defending her blackness to the rest of the group. Lisa, played by Antoinette Robertson, is not a traditional trope, but she mentions, why is it always the black woman saving everybody? And she sort of plays into the strong black woman trope. Nandi, played by Single Walls, resembles the buck stereotype at first glance, but everything about him contradicts what that stereotype be.
When doing my research for this film, I could only find 2 bad reviews after doing a lot of scrolling. Nick Shager from the Daily Beast commented, "Adderall-fueled hallucinations and superpowers, extended bits about friends, references to Set It Off, and other scattershot gags are strewn throughout this mirthless tale, which would have no reason to exist if it didn't constantly foreground the issue of race, and yet affords no pointed or amusing commentary on the subject." And Mike Shutt from /Film said, "The lack of depth would be okay if the jokes at least landed, but they very rarely do. Outside of a recurring gag about how this group can quietly communicate with one another, I found myself sinking further and further into my seat rather than being lifted up with laughter." And you know what these 2 had in common? These reviews might hold some weight coming from people who have to deal with the unfortunate issues that come from being black. But as a white American man, aka one of, if not the most privileged groups on this planet, it's not for them to get. Black trauma, we don't get our happy ending, or the black one dies first. There were discussions about it, as we can't fully escape it, but the characters had more to them, and had their own agency. It was a light introduction into the horror genre for those who may have strayed away before, but still had familiar elements for fans of the genre, paying direct homage to films like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, and the Saw franchise. This movie was by us, for us, and involved us, but didn't put all of the weight on us facing our trauma. I chose this film because I really enjoyed it when I first saw it in theaters, even getting a free poster. It was a really interesting intersection between horror, comedy, and black media. I don't think that it got enough praise and love during its 2023 release, and I just wanted to shine some light on this film. The trailer already intrigued me when I first saw it, but the film itself exceeded expectations. Black culture was woven into the very fibers of this film, taking place on Juneteenth weekend and making references to black people in popular media and the horror genre. And even if, personally, I didn't go through it, I know someone that did, or I know someone that reminded me of some of these things, and I really thought that was beautiful. Not everything had to be said out loud, but to have some silent recognition was a really beautiful and comforting thing.